Happy Sunday, everybody. Steve here. So when the kids were all at home, we used to have dinner together and we'd sit and watch. And one of the shows we watched for a while was called Everybody Hates Chris, and they had Chris Rock narrating it, and it was, I guess, loosely based on his childhood or the writer's childhood or whatever. But it was good. I mean, it was a good family. The father went out. He was always working. All the jobs he did and everything else. It's a good show. It's funny. And there's one particular part at it where that they have like a running thing going where the dad's always working. When he's home, he's usually sleeping because he's exhausted. And the mom would go out and work, and occasionally she would get a job, but she was a little sassy, and she would it was like the running gag where she would get to a point and she would just go, look, I don't have time for this. My husband got 2 jobs. I don't need this. And she would quit. she would come home, and he's like, hey, so why are you home? I quit that job. I don't got time for that. My husband got 2 jobs, and just the look on his face, it was Terry Crews as the dad. He would just be like, whoa. So anyway, it got to a point where, now, I'm working, I'm flying now with ATI, and I work with Boeing on the side. And then I do these YouTube videos, and I kind of stay on top of that, and that's some additional work, and then I've got my Air Force retirement, so I kind of joke with that. I'm like, Arlene's like, well, my husband's got 4 jobs, anyway, we just laugh. Anyway, all of that being said, I was reading through Ecclesiastes, and I got into verse 11, and this particular section caught my eye. Verse 11, chapter 11, verses 1 through 6. Ship your grain across the sea. After many days you may receive a return. Invest in 7 ventures, yes, in 8. You do not know what disaster may come upon the land. If clouds are full of water, they pour rain on the earth. Whether a tree falls to the south or to the north, in the place where it falls, there it will lie. Whoever watches the wind will not plant. Whoever looks at the clouds will not reap. As you do not know the path of the wind, or how the body is formed in a mother's womb, you cannot understand the work of God, the maker of all things. Sow your seed in the morning, and at the evening let your hands not be idle, for you do not know which will succeed, whether this or that, or whether both will do equally well. So a couple of little things, and these are things that I just teach the kids all the time, and whatever wisdom whoever listens, I'll pass along. But I've found, and I picked up over the years, that there's great wisdom in having as many irons in the fire as possible, many choices. A buddy of mine used to say that, build as many bridges as you can for as long as you can until you don't have time, or you have to make a decision or which way you need to go. When I was on active duty in the Air Force, that was the big discussion as well, is when do you show your cards and say, hey, I'm getting out, and because things change, because bosses aren't going to put the effort into you like they should. They just can't. They have, so much amount of time that they can add, contribute to you, that, they have to spread that around. And if you're getting out anyway, well, I'm going to put my effort into this guy who's staying in the Air Force. So that, to be said, is having all the options. Invest in 7 ventures, yes, and 8. To have as many options out there as you can, and to keep things going. 4 jobs, because you just don't know. I mean, is my airline going to go? Are we going to go on strike or not? Or is Boeing losing a government contract or not? I mean, you just don't know. And this channel, I mean, it's still continues to grow subscribers. It's not the income that it was back in 2020, when everybody was home and watching YouTube videos all day. But you just never can tell what's going to happen and what's the future is going to hold. So it's wise to diversify, to have these things going. There's a lot of wisdom in that. Now, there's the question is, okay, well, do you lose focus when you do that? I think if you diversify wisely, and have all those options open as much as you can, that there's wisdom in that. And I think about, I was reading this book a while ago, The Omnivore's Dilemma. Great book, by the way. And one of the guys, funny enough, that's ventured in their that's featured in their prominently, Joel Salatin, and I talked about him a lot. Big fan of the way he runs his farm in Virginia. Visited it before. But one of the things that they talk about in this book, and that Salatin talks about a lot, is diversification as well. Like in farms, one of the great problems today is the monoculture farm. That you get these giant farms that stretch, corn for as far as the eye can see, because that's where the money's at. So they plant as much as they can, and now there's just so much out there. Corn's just become a commodity like oil or something. It's not food like it used to be. That's kind of what he talks about in this book a lot. But there are all kind of problems with that, and when you have same crop year after year after year, well, you get the pests, the bugs, the things that eat the problems that come on now when you don't rotate crops and mix things, and let the ground go fallow, and you keep fertilizing and all. But a diversified farm like they used to be back in the day, where farmers would grow their cash crop, but then they had other things they would grow because they had to grow food for their family. And have cows and pigs and things like that that they could eat. And there's wisdom in that diversification, because you have all kind of problems when you have the monoculture. It's really really fascinating looking at that and watching that, and that directly correlates to what I'm talking about here. I think the wisdom in that, and having. And another thing too is like here in the Low Country in Edisto Island back in the day, they were really known for their Sea Island cotton. That's what it was called. It was a longer fiber cotton, and it was highly prized. And then the boll weevil came, and when that's all you're growing, and the boll weevil comes and eats your cotton plants all up, your crop's lost. You got nothing left. So there's wisdom in diversification and having your options open. So anyway, I saw the wisdom in that. Some life experiences, some things that I've seen over the time. But I hope this was a blessing for you. I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Take care.